Hi, everyone, and welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, and I'm your host, BMR. And as always, I'm joined by the bearded one, Tex. If this is your first time here, please subscribe on YouTube to Tex's Front Porch. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to hit the alert bell. You can find us on Odyssey Radio, iHeartRadio, and on Facebook at Texas Front Porch. You can also reach us by email at paracryptidencounters@gmail.com or by text at 972-559-0988. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube to Bigfoot Michigan Rob. If you enjoy our content and would like to support us, the Super Chat is always open, or you can Venmo us at @text6717. Thank you and enjoy the show. I think I got it.
Well, guys, welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. I'm your co-host, possible host by the time we get done, because Rob is once again battling the gremlins, and he's supposed to get it all worked out tomorrow. But we'll find out. He may be with us this show.
Hello.
He may be with us part of this show. He's with us right now, but who knows when we're going to lose him? And
yes,
we're currently waiting on our guest, Orion, because, well, honestly, me and Rob dropped the ball. Rob told him 12:30, and then I had my head up my butt, and I answered him and said 12:30. So I turned around and texted him. I said, "Oh crap, we go live at noon, not noon:30." So whenever we robbed him of a half an hour, so we'll see if he can jump up here, and we may have another special co-host jump on here, because Jessica was making noise about possibly coming on and joining us too. So it's as usual, never a dull moment around this camp. But,
never is. So let me do a sound check. Am I coming through right now, Tex? Am I
yeah,
coming
you
through?
sound good. You sound good right now, brother. You sound good
For right now, I do. You know, everybody out there in YouTube land and listening on the radio, I've had this ongoing problem with this internet, and I'm ready to just trash the entire setup. I do have people coming out Friday. I'm on notice. I told these people I'm going to cancel them if they don't get out here. Because I'm on 24-hour call for Friday, which kind of sucks to sit around the house, but you know what? I got to get this done. And so
yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen Office Space or not, but the movie Office Space.
Yeah.
But there's the scene where they've got the printer or whatever out there, computers, beating it with a baseball bat. That's kind of what I see going on with you and your internet stuff. And I hope it don't come to that, but
I'm ready. I do have a bat about 40 feet away, a Louisville Slugger that I haven't used in 20 years.
Well, you may have to give it an attitude adjustment. I don't know.
One of my professors over at where I went to school said everybody needs an attitude adjustment day. He goes, I don't expect you kids to come to class each and every day. I know you need to take a break from your studies. So he coined, at the time, I thought it was a new phrase, attitude adjustment, and Tex, this entire area that I'm set where I have shops set up in might get an attitude adjustment. And I tell you what, even this damn computer I got, it's only 4 years old, but as soon as, just much like a car, when you walk out of Best Buy, it's irrelevant, right? It's obsolete.
Well, they tell you to So, well, now this is, I don't know if this still holds true or not, but they say to keep up with the trend of things and the technology, you have to upgrade every 18 months. But I think this, I don't know. I don't have one of the big powerful computers, but I am getting a, when I get my new studio built, which I got to tell you, folks, it's been, it's kind of a, it has slowed down. My goal was to actually have it finished by the time I went back to work off vacation, come back from the conference.
Mm.
But man, 100 degrees outside and it's just rough. I mean, so it's,
And I
you
don't
know,
even know if that has for me yesterday, as you well know, my system was down all day, and so I was able to get on the second half of Jason McLean questions everything, and it was beautiful, great
that,
reception. So this morning, I tinker with this. I don't know if the heat here has anything to do with it because yesterday was 115 heat index here in Michigan, and right now the heat index is already approaching 100, and it's 1 o'clock. But you know what? That shouldn't have anything to do with it. In fact, they put new cable lines in around my city, in my neighborhood.
right, right.
But like I told you off air, I think this equipment I've got at my house is probably 10 years old. I think it's time for an upgrade. So Friday, I'm going to demand that they pull this stuff out of here.
Well, it's, and I heard, and I haven't checked it myself, but I did hear we were going to have a solar flare hit us at some point this week, and could possibly disrupt things too. So,
Oh,
I don't
geez,
know.
that happened to me. I was on Space Out Radio text, and I think it was with you at the time. And I
Oh
think
yeah, I
remember
remember that.
a solar flare hit my area. And
Yeah,
then I totally went dead. And it was just you and
yeah.
Dave for the rest of the show, which was fine. It was a pretty good show, but I've had more problems with this than most people, I think. So
Well, hopefully they'll get you straightened out.
yeah.
Now Danny Staten said, "Man, that's awesome." He says, "I have an old bat my grandfather left me that belonged to Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Holy cow.
That's freaking awesome, man."
Yeah, you gotta take a picture of that, Danny, and send it over, man. I'd love to see that. I
Yeah,
think my Louisville Slugger is signed by Reggie Jackson, but not signed by him, engraved. And I've had it for since I was a ball player at the Diamond. I've never got rid of it. It's pretty cool. It's all old and it just looks like it's a relic.
well, so probably much like us, we're relics. you
Yeah,
know,
getting up there, getting up there. But we certainly don't act like relics, do we, Tex? We had quite a good time at the
we
Alabama Bigfoot Conference.
that was a good time, man. I tell you, it's and actually Ryan, the old boy that we got coming up, and a good friend of ours, hell of a
Yeah.
nice guy. And
Mm-hmm.
he was actually there at the bar with us. He was at the conference, and he was at
Yeah.
the bar with us. And Ryan doesn't drink, so he he may have some stories that we don't quite remember.
Yes. It is my fault too because he sent me a text. I'll be on at 12. He did just today, and I said, "Well, I won't be on until 12:30 because I'm thinking. See, it's 1 o'clock where I live, 12 where you live. So
Right.
yeah, you're right. I kind of dropped the ball. I wasn't thinking because I assumed that everybody knows that I'm an hour ahead of everybody. But
Well,
why I said, and when I said 12:30, I meant that's when I'll be on StreamYard.
that's look who we got joining us.
Yeah. Well, we got somebody saving
She's
the
still
day. Let
well.
me.
She's still. I'm not gonna bring her up. She's still primping.
Yeah, Jessica, bring yourself up when you're ready. It looks like you're primping your hair there.
She wants to be all beautiful
Can't you
for
bring
you.
yourself up? Oh, there she
Hey,
goes.
y'all. Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just took a shower. It's too hot out here today. So, yeah. How y'all doing?
Yeah, that's hot.
We
It is hot
we
I
were
know,
just
right?
everywhere.
yeah. We were just
Hot
talking about that,
everywhere.
Jessica. It's
I know. I was
106
listening.
heat index.
I was listening.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Look, like I just been sweating, but I just got out of the shower. So
Well,
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
at the conference. It was kind of nice because we left the we go to the conference, get in the truck, go to the bar. you know,
Exactly. Yeah, it was hot, man. It was hot down
it
in
was.
Alabama.
It was.
It's hot all over the country. Well, down in the south at least.
Well, it's
Yeah.
yeah, I
it,
didn't
Good
well,
realize.
times.
even up in
Yep.
Michigan, it's 100 degrees up there in Rob's
Yeah.
territory.
Yeah. It
Oh
was a
wow.
hundred heat index. The heat index yesterday was 116 degrees. Today it's 1 o'clock. It's 111 here. 111. Wow, what a number. And it's
Angel
already at
number.
106. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
106 heat index.
Wow.
But you know what? We can't complain because there's people in Michigan. Well, where I live anyway, people complain when it's too cold in the winter. Then they
Yeah,
complain when it's too hot in the summer. I will take the heat over cold anytime. That I will
Oh
say
yeah.
that.
I don't know. I can bundle up
yeah,
when it's cold.
not here.
Can't
Eh,
do anything when you're hot. You just gotta keep taking your layers off, so you
Well,
don't
the
have
way
that's
any
why.
on.
Yes.
the way I look at it, I can always put more clothes on. I can only take so many
Right.
off. You know,
Exactly.
so but you know, Jessica was it was the conference, man. It was the first time that all of us got to meet face to face,
It
and
was.
it was awesome. It was
Well,
awesome.
y'all weren't nearly as scary as I thought you'd be. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Well, you weren't either.
I know. It was fun. And I was glad
It
I got to
was.
meet y'all. Yeah, and Jason.
Yes.
Don't leave Jason out. Lord.
Yeah,
He's
because
upset
somebody
that I
tends.
We
didn't say his
no,
name fast
we heard
enough.
no, we heard you. It was fun to meet y'all and Jason.
Yeah.
And Jason. Jason.
Yeah,
Just
right,
kidding.
right.
Yeah.
Jason.
Oh man. No, yeah, my son had a lot of fun there too. So it was fun. We
Yeah,
got to
he
see
did.
Kristen and y'all got
Yeah,
to meet
yeah,
my team, some of my teammates.
yeah.
So
Grumpy
Yes.
and
yeah.
Trey and
Yeah.
yeah, and we got a little invitation from them, which I'm excited about. We're not going to talk about it, but um, it's I'm excited. So we may have to come up and see you. In the
Yeah.
very near future. Well, I ain't doing squat. I ain't doing squat till it cools off.
I'm not either. I'll show y'all where to go. I'll point you in the right direction from my AC. But
Now,
yeah,
when it cools off, I'm jumping in waist deep on this stuff this year. So
Yeah. You
yeah.
know, and we all talk about ACs. It seems like all I do is complain. My computer, my internet,
Tell me
and you
about
just
it.
brought up something, text, that I'm kind of irritated with again. My AC unit will never shut off manually. So I got to have a guy come out and check that out because I turned it on. As you know, at 100 degrees, you have your AC on, but the damn thing never shuts off. It's like an ice box in the house. So last night I got up, I'm freezing, and yeah, I had blankets on, Jessica. I had tons of blankets on, but I get up, I turn off the damn AC, which was a mistake because this morning about 4:30 in the morning, I woke up totally dripping in sweat
well,
because the
Rob,
AC never came back on.
I tell you what, we when we get off air, we'll check a few things out, and I'll see if I can help you out, save you some
Oh,
money.
well, thank you for that. I do have a plan built into my thing, but my bill, but yes, I will check it out. I'll definitely you can walk me through it. We'll see. Has to do with my thermostat, I think, perhaps. I don't know.
That's what it sounds like. Which they do go bad on occasion. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's and it may be something that you accidentally hit and you have the settings off or something like that. So we'll walk through it and see what's going on. But yeah, let's see, you know, yeah, the heat and we got the question. I think it was last night about um, these critters being more aggressive or irritable and stuff in the heat, and we kind of joked about it, but I got to tell you, man, it's speaking for the hairy folks out there. It ain't no fun.
Talking about humans or Bigfoot?
Both, both.
Oh yeah.
There he is. Yeah,
There it is.
it really
I'll bring
is.
him up.
Yeah, because I myself,
Hey,
I think,
Ryan.
when
Hey,
you're hot,
Ryan.
you are irritable, whether you're a creature or not. Hey, Ryan.
Hey guys, so I was a little late. I had to go do something.
Hey Ryan,
Well, that
good
was,
to see you.
you know,
Good to see
you
you
can
guys.
blame that
That's
on
our
good old
fault.
Tex and Rob.
Because I was like,
Good old.
Rob told me, okay, it's 12:30, and Texas like it's 12. So I'm like, oh, okay, if it's 12:30, it gives me some time to go. I had to go do something with my family real quick, and I'm like, oh wait, no, I just got the text from Tex. It's 12 o'clock. Let me just quick it up real quick.
Hey Ryan, I thought it started at 1:30 here too. So I just got straight out of the shower. Okay. So
Now,
my hair's still wet.
Now, for people that, and that's the strange thing. Jessica says 1:30. I know Tex
Yeah.
knows the correct time. I myself, who
It's
every
1:30
day at the
and-
beginning of every show says 5 shows daily, weekly, and I give out the times
He does.
and how I came up with 12:30. But Ryan, I'm going to give you a proper intro that I would do at the beginning of the show, but because of us dropping the ball, for everybody out there, Ryan Edwards is a cryptozoologist and an author from Texas. He's been doing research into the amazing world of cryptids for over 10 years now. And I got to talk about that really quickly too. For a dude that's only like 22, we'll get into that. He was released one book on cryptids titled Cryptids of the World and is now working on a podcast titled The Cryptid Chronicles. Ryan intends to educate the public on cryptozoology and hopefully open a few eyes regarding this subject. So welcome to the show officially, Ryan Edwards.
Hey guys, it's good to be on here.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay! And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, it was great meeting you at the conference, Ryan.
That was good meeting you too, and it's
Thank
just good
you.
meeting Rob too. It's like, heck, you guys are two people that are really big in this, but never met you guys in person. It was good to see you guys.
And I noticed he said he was great to. Ryan just said he was glad to meet Jessica, Tex, and Rob. And yes,
Jason too.
Jason. What about Jason?
I don't know about Jason. That's always a kind of.
Well, see, I think and it's like I said the other night. Me and Jason, we spent like 24 hours on the road total, and it's just me and him in my truck. We shared a hotel room for 2 days. We were connected at the hip the whole freaking time. And my feet, and it gave us a chance to get to know each other. And my feelings haven't changed. I still don't like him.
Yeah.
So
It's terrible. Jason, we love you.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yes,
should have
Jason, I
seen
love you too.
when I dropped him off about 11:30 that night at home. I told his wife that, and she didn't, because this was the first time I ever met her, right? I don't think she quite knew how to take that, because she jumped to his defense. It was real funny. Well, I like him enough for both of us. I'm like, you're not going to, don't worry, I didn't hurt his feelings,
Oh man.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
So Ryan, man, let me ask you: was that your first Bigfoot conference? And why don't you give us your thoughts on that? Did you learn anything new?
It was not my first one. I've been to Jefferson twice, Manola, but
Okay.
it's always good trying to find out new information. For instance, I know I wasn't able to check out everyone's presentation, but I know I checked out Ken's, y'all's, and Cliff's. And heck, listening just you guys alone always makes me feel a little bit smarter when I'm even in the room with you guys.
Well, I don't know about all that. That may lower your IQ, if anything else, being in the same room with us.
But even this like Cliff and Ken, you can tell because they've been in this field for so long and they have so much information. And like even I was talking to Cliff on the side, he's like, yeah. He's like, well, he's like, it's just me. I'm like, yeah, but you've been in this field for what 28 years? That's a wealth of knowledge that anyone
Yeah.
could get from.
Yeah, I know. That's it's so funny because I asked, because I was emceeing the thing, and I was going around to all the speakers, and I go, okay, I need an, give me some, whatever intro you want me to say, and and then I'll fill it in. And I said, Cliff, how do you want me to introduce you? What do you want me to say? Whatever. He goes, just a Bigfoot guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I
That's
introduced
mighty
him,
humble.
and then when I introduced him, I don't think a lot of I don't think the joke flew real well. I know he got it, but I don't think the audience got it because what I said was I goes, all right, now here's a man that doesn't need an introduction, and they all kind of looked at me like, what did you just say? How
Yeah,
dare you?
like I was like, I'm trying not to laugh because no one else is laughing, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess no one got it.
It was like you tell a joke and you hear nothing but crickets,
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, that one flopped. I made it up on the backside though when I introduced. I think I did a good job with Melissa and I pretty good job with Charlie and then Ken. I pretty much nailed that one. So, but yeah, it was fun, and then when we had our little talk, it was we kind of did it a little different than I think most everybody did.
Yeah.
And
It was different.
it's a good way to go.
Is that what you want? You want to call it that? Good way.
But it did go well. Like I told you, like after your presentation, like I know that's your first time really doing something at a conference, and it didn't feel like it. It felt like you were born doing this. All you guys up there.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. We pretty much, we pretty much treated it like a show, like one of our shows.
Yeah.
And I thought it went well. I felt good about it. And then we got a lot of positive feedback from people. So the only thing I didn't like, which, and of course it all kind of, the conference thing happened. And then right after the conference, right after we booked the conference, Jessica came on board, because I really wanted her to be a part of the team up there speaking. And she wouldn't even let me bring her up and introduce her, and I'm like, well, okay, fine. But I got to tell you, future conferences and anybody out there listening that's putting a conference together, you can get us as a package deal,
Yes,
or
absolutely.
lower, because we'll cover the whole gambit. If you just want one of us, you can book one of us. But I'm telling you, it's a bargain.
Yes. Yeah,
Thank
and
you. Hey,
with
Flat Rock's in the chat, man. I had a hoot with freaking Flat Rock. Now he's a character.
Hey, Flat Rock.
and also, hey, Flat Rock, good to see you, my man. And I did want to add too, our presentation, and I will toot our own hats or our own horns, right? Because it was a little different. And I think that's what broke it up, right? It wasn't just, it was just different. We had text roaming down the aisles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody
And
else was
I
very
did my
organized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all were definitely more off the cuff, but everybody appreciates that. I like that.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
it's different. It's like not like it doesn't feel like I'm in school taking a lecture. It feels like okay,
Yeah.
it's interactive. Like you get to ask questions and all that. And that's like one thing I try to do. Is like be interactive because then the audience feels like they're really a part of it, not just hearing it. They're a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you can get a few laughs and well, it's all about getting everybody's attention and holding it, and if you just not that any of the speakers were boring, they were all great, but you don't want to turn it into like a college lecture. you know, and have
Right.
people, when's the bell going to ring, or when are they going to dismiss this type thing, and but and I think we were the first ones up right after lunch. And I think with that kind of worked for us too, because everybody was so full they didn't want to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? In addition to y'all's presentation, which was amazing, I really had fun listening to my teammate talk. Trey Hudson
Yeah,
was there,
Yes,
and he did
I
have a
did
very
too.
well put together presentation. But see, the thing about our research with my teams is that we have so much going on, and there's so much activity that it kind of has to be organized. And the way he put it all together was amazing. I couldn't have done a better job. Trey, big shout out to Trey Hudson. I don't know if you're watching today, but I'm gonna send you this link later.
Yes.
Okay. So, but yeah, it was awesome. And there's videos of the lights in the sky because, you go to a
Yeah.
Bigfoot conference, a lot of people go and they're expecting just to hear about Bigfoot.
right.
But in my team's experience,
Yeah.
and my experience, when I speak at a conference, I talk about everything. We talk about orbs and, even ghosts and spirits and tricksters and aliens, UFOs, portals, all that stuff. It's all connected in some weird, weird way. So Trey put it all together for us at that conference. It was
Yeah.
really awesome.
And
Yeah,
what I liked about
and
it too was I got to jump in before I see my thing coming up text. My thing's blinking once again, so I had to get this shout out before I get so put in some other realm. Anyways, yes, with all the people that spoke at this conference, and I'm mad right now, so that's why I'm talking crappy because I know something bad's about to happen. So I got to get this in. There were so many speakers there, and I love them all, but and even Trey's, I would have to say that was the only one I watched it from beginning to end. It's not to slight anybody else. It's just that my first conference, I saw 10 minutes of everybody, and you're running around. You got the vendor booth, and I'm talking to a lot of other people. And that one though, Jessica, it really for me because we talk about the meadow. I've heard you talk about the meadow, but that just pulled it all together for me. Now I had a really good visualization, and I tell you what. It creeped me out a little, just a little bit. Not creepy where I wouldn't want to see it, but just it made me think, wow, look at I mean, I loved it. I loved it immensely.
I think this conference was different because there were a lot of different views and a lot of different aspects. It wasn't just Bigfoot's a yard ape or anything like that. You got the Woo train did show up, and and it was received well. Yeah, it was received well. And like Jessica, you were saying the portholes and everything like that. I see you grinning. Yeah, I said porthole.
Porthole.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's very, very interesting to see those different views brought together in one spot, and it's nice that we can, that all of us that had all these different views, we're all talking after our spiels and everything. We were all talking on the side about stuff. That was really cool,
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I don't know when is going to be Ryan's first opportunity to speak at a conference, but I'm looking forward to it because you can't bring up a freaking cryptid that he don't know something about. He's like his book's like an encyclopedia cryptid. That's what I call it. And
Thanks.
Well, it is.
Yes.
I mean, it gives you a synopsis of there's so many, and I'm telling you that book could have been 1,000 pages. It really could have, with all the cryptids in the world. But I love the fact that you put it in alphabetical order, So you know, it's like, okay, I want to look up the, you know, the ash blaster or smelly gas or whatever it is, and you can just go, you
What?
can just go.
I don't like how I
Did you
got
just
that.
make that up?
Yeah.
I don't like how that was a Tremors reference, and I got that. I don't like that.
You know, and
um, there was
two
there.
texts.
Oh, he's back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm paranoid that time I'm talking. I'm like ghosting everybody. I was going to say that since we have Mr. Uh, Ryan on, if he would like to go ahead and elaborate a little bit about his book and his findings and his experiences, because we've been up here talking about the conference, how great we all were. And we got a guest here that I would like to hear some of his stories before, once again, the gremlins take over.
Well, I guess I will, because I with it my first book, Cryptid to the World. It is like how text says. It's a good like encyclopedia of cryptids, because there's a lot of other books that I kind of took inspiration on in the past. I've read like Cryptozoology A to Z by Lauren Coleman, or the Encyclopedia of Cryptozoology, but I wanted to be specialized in more of the cryptids, not just researchers or particular incidents, but just primarily the creatures of it. And I've always say it's a good little introduction to it. Each page is dedicated to a certain cryptid. I keep it even because you can put like 5 pages together for just Bigfoot, but I'm like, no, let's just keep it even. Let's keep it fair here. If Mad Lambo gets 1 page, Bigfoot gets 1 page. If Yeti gets 1 page, everyone gets 1 page. So it's a good little introduction. It's like physical descriptions of creatures, where they're seen, what are people seeing, and also one thing I try to put in my books, explanations, like because I come at this from very zoological, very biological perspective, and every animal you look around you has a natural history. It came from somewhere. So with these cryptids, can't just appear out of nowhere unless it's something more paranormal in reality. So I try to put it like, okay, if this thing is real, where did it come from? What's its evolutionary history? Could it be misidentification? Because I will admit it, there's a lot of cryptids in there I have that I personally believe are maybe not physical creatures themselves, or maybe are just misidentifications. Like
Right.
even most Bigfoot researchers say only 10% of sightings that we get are probably a Bigfoot. Everything else is probably misidentification or
Mhm.
whatever. You never know. So that's what I try to do in my research, is try to come at it from more of a scientific perspective, because it's cryptozoology. Ology's in the name. This isn't just about a bunch of people in the woods hunting monsters. I try to come at it from its science and try to keep it in that scientific perspective.
Wow.
Joshua Godson, it's kind of an interesting question. It kind of puts you on the spot here, Ryan. He says, Ryan, which cryptid do you think is most possibly real?
Most possibly real, I would
Yeah,
say. Of course, everyone's going to go with it, but Sasquatch. Simply due to the fact that there's too much physical evidence for being a physical creature. There's too much correlation between primatology and Bigfootology. Too many correlations between the paleontological record and Sasquatch. Like even if just looking at the Paz and Gimlin film, there's plenty of details in that video that we wouldn't even know about for the next 60 years.
right.
So how can that be hoaxed, or things like that, or even look at the Bigfoot footprints? There's too many anatomical details in there that suggest it being a physical creature and a true biological species. And yes, it gets a lot of ridicule, but simply due to the fact that it's the most famous cryptid out there. Because when you say Bigfoot or Sasquatch, those are all a menagerie of pictures or images people think of. They can think from passing Gimlin film to beef jerky to monster
Yeah.
trucks. It's the most colloquial known cryptid out there, but the most possible of existing to me, because simply due to the amount of evidence behind it, and not just anecdotal, but a lot of trace evidence as well.
Right. Now, what I like about your book though, it's not just like cryptids that possibly exist. You've got some in there that were rumored to exist, but no longer exist, but now we know they did.
Yes. Like for
Stuff
instance,
like
like the giant squid, Architeuthis.
right, Centicath or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But
Yes. Like I put those in there because I kind of see them as good lessons for cryptozoology.
right,
It shows you that we don't know everything. And there's certain cryptids in there that I don't even classify as cryptids myself. Like, for instance, the Wendigo and Skinwalkers. I don't classify it as cryptids, more paranormal beings, but I put them in there due to the fact that they show good examples of how cryptozoologists should study creatures. For
right,
instance, while skinwalker sightings could be misidentifications, or people perceive it as a physical creature when it's talking about more of a spiritual being or metaphysical. And there's certain aspects of how we should study with cryptozoology that we can look at the past of certain cryptids and state how can we learn from that and go beyond it. Like
right,
for instance, when being perspective and psychology takes a lot into I take that into regards a lot with cryptozoology. Because perspective, our eyes and brain doesn't work like a camera. We perceive. Perception and reality are two different things.
right,
And what we see and what is there are two highly different things. Like for instance, Bigfoot. If you look at a lot of the old 1800s and old pictures of them, a lot of them when they talk of wild men have horns. Now, of course, modern day sightings of Bigfoot don't have horns, but people put them on there because they perceive something evil. Something evil, they perceive something demonic, so they put horns on it, even though no one ever saw it. So you can see how perspective and pre existing notions affect people's reality. Like one thing I say is if you believe something exists, of course you're going to think it's good. Of course you're going to see it within your reality. Like how people
right.
say you have Bigfoot on the brain or things like that.
Now, I got to ask you, because you've got some pretty obscure cryptids in your book too. And I wish I had my book or my book. I wish I had your book that we bought that with me, but it's still all my crap's still packed away. I'm lucky to. I'm in an extra bedroom, sitting on a bed, talking on my laptop because I'm in limbo. But there's one I can't. It's called the Goober Snatch or something like that. I don't know. It's
Thinking about what starts with a G, root slang, maybe?
there you go. The Groot slang. Yeah.
Yes. That's a cryptid from African folklore. Pretty much what people state they see is an elephant but with a serpentine tail and more reptile like. And a lot of people put in the same categories like the Mokema Bembe or Nguni or the Maniguna Monin of like relic, possibly living dinosaurs. Which that's what I kind of put it as. It's a possibly misidentification of a known animal, or maybe it's in that same idea of like living dinosaurs. Like in Africa, you have a lot of sightings of that. Anyway, you have
Mm-hmm.
Okele Mbembe, Emila Notoka, Mobilu, Kongomoto. There's all these stories of living dinosaurs in the Congo, and it's almost a weird perspective on it because a lot of people say, well, non-avian dinosaurs cannot live into the modern day. And me personally, I do believe that, but there's too much evidence to almost prove that wrong. Or there might be evidence
Mm-hmm.
to prove that correct. You never know. That's why I try to do a lot more research into it because these sightings occur, but simply due to the fact that there's not a lot of news outlets out there, people never hear about it. So I try to bring attention to the little unknown cryptids that I've seen around the world that might even have a higher chance of being found. But simply due to the fact that no one hears about them, not a lot of people put the research into it.
Well, Ryan, I thought it was really interesting that I did a show on pterosaurs, modern day pterosaurs here in the United States and in Canada and Mexico and Central America and South America. And I could not believe the amount of reports, modern day reports of seeing pterosaurs flying around. And so I think I remote viewed it actually. So it seems as though they've been here all along, some of them. So I don't know. Is that are pterosaurs in your book?
I do have a section on what I call living pterosaurs, and also touching on a lot of living dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But with me, I do put a good amount. I put research into the living pterosaurs, but one thing with it is that that's almost the implausibility of a living pterosaur. That means it survived in the 66 million years. But
Well,
but
that
with it,
depends on your train of thought, on your school
yeah,
of thought.
yes, school of thought. You never know because there's a lot of different perspectives with it.
Right.
And even with it, one thing you look at is a paleontological record. People are describing creatures very similar to what we used to think they look like. In modern day sighting, we now know that most pterosaurs are covered in almost fur-like filaments, or there's a certain perspective, or they had bulges in the wings due to air sacs. And modern day witnesses don't describe that. So it makes me question, like, okay, could these creatures maybe be from the past, but almost somehow find a way into the modern day? Would never know. You could have weird time perspectives, or
Hmm.
maybe like
Time
something.
slips and wormholes and
Yeah,
portals and all that. It's starting to factor into a lot of the stuff I've been studying lately.
yes,
Yeah.
that's
It's a
like
little mind blowing.
that's one thing I think with the Congo and Africa is like, what if there are living dinosaurs? There's a lot of sightings down there. What if there is maybe some type of time distortion or something occurring,
Hmm.
which allows animals to move in and out? That's why people, when they go research it, they don't find anything. It's maybe because they somehow moved somewhere
Yeah.
else. You never know.
That's what I always thought about the Loch Ness monster. I was thinking, well, maybe there's got to be some sort of a portal or a wormhole under the water where they're going, because that was just my thought. Up until, I mean, even recently, if there's a Loch Ness monster, maybe that's where it's coming and going from. Who
Yes,
knows?
you never know. And like with me, that's like one issue with me is a lake monster, that phenomena. It's almost, I come at it from ecology. It's almost ecologically impossible for there to be some type of lake monster in a lot of these sightings, because simply due to the fact that you need a population. Nessie can't live for hundreds and hundreds of years. There has to be a population of them. And then you look at the ecology of the lake. If you had, let's just say, a dozen or so plesiosaurs or plesiosaur-like animals in a lake, you would tell just from the ecology. The fish would be devastated and all that, unless there's some type of way for the animal to get out of the lake and move somewhere else. That's why with me and Nessie, I believe it's a higher possibility of existing simply due to the fact that the river Ness connects Loch Ness and the ocean. It could be some type of ocean dwelling animal that has moved into Loch Ness and moves out every so often, like on a migratory route. But there's other lakes that have monster sightings, like Lake Champlain. Lake Champlain has no connection to the ocean. So how could something large be living in that lake unless there's something else going on? What that something
Right.
else going on is, I have no idea. That's just not where my research really goes into. That's where the more paranormal, more metaphysical aspects come, like portals and all that. That's just not where I put my research. I I do a little bit of like, I don't necessarily think it's not true. It's just not where I put a lot of my research.
So,
Hey,
real quick,
Ryan, I want to ask you, how
go
come
ahead,
every
Rob.
time I talk, Tex starts to talk? It must be my computer. I must be on a delayed. Tex, why don't you go first, because I have a different question. So, Tex, go
No,
ahead.
no, 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 no. We don't know when you're going to blink out. So go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, okay. Before I blink out, because it looks like I might be blinking out. Hey, I had a question. A lot of people in the woods, we talk about this a lot, quite a bit on our shows. Are we really looking at Sasquatch, right, when we're out there? I mean, yes, I've seen a physical one. Tex has seen a physical one, and we get that. What do you call these beings that maybe they're alluding or pretending to be a Bigfoot? Maybe we're looking at something totally different regarding a dimension, or some apparition in the forest is kind of trying to draw us in a different direction. What's your thoughts?
With my thoughts with that, it's like what I said earlier: perspective and reality are two different things. What you are seeing, maybe that's something else making you see that. What that something else is, I'm not sure. It could be something extra dimensional, something paranormal, maybe most likely not something physical, but maybe it is something else. Maybe, you never know, demonic, ultra terrestrial, extraterrestrial, you never know. But it all depends on the perspective of the person seeing it. Because Jason brings up that one point that I love when he brings it up. Okay, you see an 8 tall black figure with red eyes in the woods. What is it? Bigfoot. You see that same thing, but in your bedroom, it's no longer Bigfoot. It's no longer a Sasquatch.
Right.
Like with even the dogman phenomenon. I know Linda Godfrey, she talks about the bedtime visitors or uh, the visitors that come within their bedrooms and that looks more like a dogman, but it's in someone's house. But when
Right.
you see a dogman in the woods, oh, that's just a regular dogman. It's just something living in the woods. But you see the same thing happening in your bedroom. Okay, that can't be just a regular physical animal living in the woods at that point. So it all depends on the setting of these sightings and also the belief system of the people. Like some
Right.
people I know, if they saw something like that in the bedroom, they'd be like, okay, I was just hallucinating. It can't be real. That's because a lot of people have that idea of like, okay, there's nothing beyond that physical realm, or there's nothing beyond that paranormal side. Which, with me, I do a little bit of research into the paranormal, but due to the fact that it's very hard to quantify that data, it's hard for me to do a lot of research into it because I'm looking for like the more numbers based data, empirical
Right.
evidence. But with the paranormal, it's harder to get that. It doesn't disprove it. Like Carl Sagan says himself, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because you can't quantify the paranormal doesn't mean it's not there in the first place.
Right. So Ryan, when I was younger, I used to see dead people and see ghosts. Okay. And I would have visits in my bedroom at night from people that, look like solid form humans. Okay. But wearing Victorian era clothing and, things that weren't from this timeline. Right. And, but I also would see orbs floating around and things like that. Well, I always associated all that with ghosts because that's all I knew. Well, fast forward until about, 5 years ago or so, I was getting visited by ETs, okay? But they had the same characteristics that those ghosts had when I was a kid, where they're speaking to me through telepathy and I can hear them talking, but their mouths aren't moving, okay? And so it made me question everything I had experienced as a kid and a teenager. Wow, I might have been experiencing ETs back then, okay? But I only knew ghosts, so that is what I called them. They were all
Right.
ghosts to me.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's happened to me, and I'm sure there may be something in the future that I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't ET or a ghost. That was something else. So that's how that works.
Yeah, it's like how many Bigfoot witnesses do you talk to, or dogman witnesses that say, "Well, I just saw something big in the woods and was walking on 2 feet." Well, so
Right.
you saw Bigfoot. Well,
Yeah.
they're like, but I don't believe in Bigfoot. But you saw it. Or people that have seen dogman and just say, "Well, I saw a Bigfoot." Well, okay, describe it to me. Okay, it had a muzzle. It looked like a dog. It had backwards looking legs. Then that's not a Bigfoot. You don't know the nomenclature of dogman or werewolf. If people don't know the nomenclature ahead of time, you can't put a name to something if you don't know the name of it in the first place. So a
Right.
lot of people have that perspective of they might be in a like let's just say Bigfoot mindset. Everything's Bigfoot. So if anything happens outside that Bigfoot mindset, they're just gonna say it's Bigfoot, even though it's outside the normal behavior or normal phenomena. And that's just simply because of like the belief set, the mindset of people, and also the lack of knowledge and lack of education in other perspectives within cryptozoology and the paranormal in general.
So,
You
real
know,
quick,
Ryan,
tell us where we can get your book, Ryan.
Yes, with it, my book you can get it off Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Pretty much most bookshops have it. I know maybe not in shop because it's fairly recent. It only came out about a year ago. So I'd say like look online for like Barnes and Noble, Amazon, half price books, things like that. It would be there.
Now, you podcast that you're developing, Cryptid Chronicles. Um, you're going to start out on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We,
You actually have it up, right?
yes,
Yeah.
because I have my kind of an introduction to it, but
Right.
due to the fact that I was out of town last week, I've been busy this week. It's kind of hard to like really sit down and record something. So I
Right.
will admit to the viewers that want to view the podcast for the first month or so. It's going to be kind of non-scheduled uploads. I want to try to get it out every Saturday, but due to the fact that I'm using a friend's studio, So I need a schedule with them. I need a schedule with the guests. I need a schedule
Right.
with my own schedule. It's hard to upload for each first couple months until I really get on my feet and like really start running with it. So I know it's just beginning, but I want to tell people, hey, just stick in there. It might be a week until my next upload, but it is going to come sooner or later. So I just want to tell people about that. Like it will be
Yeah.
kind of a not fixed schedule for the first couple months.
So y'all go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button over on Cryptid Chronicles. You're going to see it up and coming, you know. So jump in there on the ground zero type thing and get that. Now, what inspired you and for as far as the doing the podcast and all that kind of stuff, and what kind of so you're going to do recorded interviews,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Are we going to see any live shows or anything like that from you, or what?
Because with it, I do kind of want a mixture. I do want like every Saturday night I want to do the interviews, podcast, but it will be off camera. But hopefully, if I have the time and money to do things when I do expeditions, I would want to bring cameras along and have that as maybe like a maybe 30 minutes or an hour documentary, maybe
Right.
once every couple months of like, hey, I've been on this expedition. Here's the video. Here's the nice, almost documentary style videos of this. I was thinking about doing shorter, maybe 30-minute interviews with myself on camera, but I'm deciding maybe a little bit away from there because it is a lot. That's a lot of recording to do and editing. So
Right.
I might do that sooner or later, but just not in the meantime. Not soon. And like with expeditions, if I want to go to East Texas and go camp out there for a couple of days, I would love to like do
Right.
almost like what you guys do with Tip of TV, bring out
Mhm.
cameras and almost have like a little documentary style. And if you want to, yes, go ahead.
No, I was just saying really briefly, Tex, aren't we coming up on that break that we have to say goodbye to our iHeartRadio
Yep.
and Odyssey
Yep, we are.
listeners? And so everybody that's out there listening on the radio side, you got to subscribe because we're streaming on 3 simulcasts. It's Texas Front Porch. Subscribe on YouTube. The Cryptid Huntress is streaming today live on YouTube, and of course me, Bigfoot to Michigan Rob, and we'll come back. Also, KPNL Radio in Oregon. That's right, our newest member that puts out our information. Tax, why don't you find a button here, and we'll come back for the second half.
All right, we'll be back in 5 minutes, folks. Catch you on the flip side.
5 minutes.
Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. 3 minutes. We're almost there. Two-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute. And we're back. Welcome back,
Yes,
folks,
we
to
are,
the
and really quickly,
second part of the show.
Hey, everyone.
and thanks, Tex. And guess what? The cable guy just showed up here at my house. Thank God, a day in advance. The Lord must be listening to my prayers and seeing my frustrations. So I'm going to bid adieu, and I'm going.
All right.
I'm going to rip them a new you know what. Oh, sorry, Charlie.
Hey, be nice.
I know he does. He can't hear me. He's out back. So thanks for joining in. I got to cut loose and get this taken care of. Great show thus far, and I'll catch the rerun later. So I'll see you
All
later.
right,
see you, Rob.
Ryan,
Bye.
man. Ryan, a pleasure as always. Goodbye.
Day, man.
Oh, I'm glad he's gone. I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
You guys couldn't wait at least a minute to say that.
No, we're kidding. Yeah.
So, Ryan, I'm more interested really in the trying to and talking about some of the more obscure cryptids, because we always talk about the dog man, the Bigfoot, the Lassie, all that kind of stuff. But you've got, like, I just want to thumb through the pages of your brain for a little bit, and if you can pick out some of the ones that I'll tell you what, let's let you let's spin the wheel. I tell you, hey, let's make this fun. Let's spin the wheel, come up with a letter, and you give us a cryptid, and let's talk about it. How about that?
Okay.
We'll put you
All
on the
right.
spot, brother. We can have a little fun.
I'm open to that.
All right. So, well, let's start with. Let's start with the letter J for Jessica.
Okay, Jay. Well, of course, the most famous J I can think of is Jersey Devil, of course. With Jersey Devil, that's probably gonna be a little bit more well-known cryptid, but still, not a lot of people know like the true real information with it. So I'll talk about that one.
Go for it.
Jersey Devil, of course, in the name, seen in New Jersey, particularly the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. The Pine Barrens is a large, I think it's 500,000 acres, I believe, of woods, and it's known as the Pine Barrens because huge pine trees. No one really goes out there, and it's barren due to the fact that the soil there is actually very acidic. So growing crops is not possible. That's why people just don't enter the Pine Barrens as much. And the Jersey Devil, there are many names for it. The Jersey Devil, the Leeds Devil, the the Woods thing. There's all types of names for it. But the second name, Leeds Devil, comes from the origin stories of the Jersey Devil. Supposedly in the 1700s, a woman named Mother Leeds, she had 12 children, and then when she found out she had a 13th child, she said, "Let this one be the devil, or let this one be the devil's." The actual saying no one really knows because it's so long ago, and this is this kind of folklore passed down generation to generation. And once she said that, when the child was born, he was born just a regular baby, but within seconds morphed into some type of horrific monster. A creature that looked like the body of a kangaroo, head of a horse, wings like a bat, long forked tail, cloven feet. This creature proceeds to fly around the room, kills Mother Leeds, kills the wife, the kills all the children, and flies out the window up the chimney, and proceeds to go live in the Pine Barrens. And that's just what the idea of the Leeds Devil was. And but recently, I know there's been a good amount of sightings for it. Back in 1901, there's what we call the Jersey Devil Flap. There's a bunch of sightings in Wood from Woodbury to from Woodbury, which is middle Pine Barrens, to all the way to the southern Pine Barrens. There are all types of sightings. Supposedly, this creature attacked a trolley car full of people. It attack several dogs and would drop them miles away from their homes because it would carry them off and drop them. There were sightings of it stepping on people's roofs or attacking people. A lot of people state a lot of these sightings were caused by something called mass hysteria, because a couple teenagers actually admitted that they somehow found a kangaroo, taped or glued wings to it, and painted it green, and kind of just let it out in the woods to see what type of trouble it would cause.
Because that's easy to do, right?
Yeah, and we know teenagers. And supposedly that's what a lot of people say the Jersey Devil these sightings were. But in recent years, with me, I believe the Jersey Devil is something called combined characteristics. The Jersey Devil, what we see or described as, there's nothing like that within nature. Well, it's a combination of characteristics. So I believe it could be maybe a giant bat species that might be found in the Pine Barrens, because a lot of people report seeing a large flying creature with red eyes, and that's very congruent with other bat sightings that occur around the world with giant bat sightings like the Who, the Popobao, the Amazon, other giant bats, and also people report seeing large hairy figures, 8 feet tall, with yellow to red glowing eyes. So some people think that might be possibly Bigfoot sightings. And there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings in the Pine Barrens and New Jersey. So the Jersey Devil, what we think of it as, might not exist, but it might be other cryptids combined to form one description of the Jersey Devil. So it might be what I call combined characteristics.
It sounds like a gargoyle to me.
Yeah.
The way you were describing it, that's really cool.
Yes, and there's people that do describe seeing gargoyles around the world. Like I remember hearing reports. There's a friend of mine named Josh Turner that does a podcast, and he talks about gargoyle sightings here in Texas. Like people report seeing these creatures, and you wonder, could that be maybe the gargoyles from medieval? Are they based on a creature, or are these creatures making themselves look like a gargoyle? You never know.
Interesting.
Maybe it's depends on the perspective. It could be
Yeah.
maybe if someone's seeing a pterosaur-like creature, but they say it's a gargoyle because of the wings. You just never know with that. It's all about perspectives. But a lot of people know what gargoyles look like. But if people don't, they might describe something else and just say maybe it looks like a giant bat, or they might mix a giant bat with a gargoyle just because of the wings. We never know.
Well, even in Jason's book, he's got reports of people seeing gargoyles in Dallas and Fort Worth area.
Yes.
So
And even you have the Houston Batman. I believe it in Houston. And other reports of winged creatures, but they don't look like birds. It's very either humanoid, and you never know. Maybe these gargoyles have something to do with the flying humanoid phenomena. We,
I can see that.
yeah.
You know, what do you think the most? Well, let's see. Let's pick another letter. Jessica, it's your turn.
All right, let's go with Y.
Okay, why? Okay, that's a couple options. Let me pick the one that people probably won't know about. Yellow top. Yellow top is a particular local name for Sasquatch. It was seen in Ontario, Canada, and it's called yellow top because there was a brown fur, but on top it was yellowish white, almost like the animal was aging and was getting like gray hair. So people in the town called it Old Yellow Top. This was seen in the 1940s, and supposedly the sightings lasted for about maybe 40, 50 years. And people call it Old Yellow Top due to the fact that like it had a yellow top on its head. And a lot of people know Sasquatch have a sagittal crest,
Mhm.
causing
Right.
the top of the head almost be triangular, causing it to look like it had a top on its head. And I talk about this creature in my book simply due to the fact that the sightings lasted for about 50, 60 years of the same creature. And that might give us data of how long Bigfoot live in the wild. Not a lot of people correlate that because humans, the average living lifespan is maybe 70s, 80s. For apes, it's usually about maybe 40 or 50 years. A lot of reports of Bigfoot can last for about 60 years of the same animal. So the lifespan of a Bigfoot is right between an ape and a human, just like everything else with it. And that's a piece of data not a lot of people look at. So that's like with yellow top, I talk about that and the correlation between maybe how long Bigfoots live because of this particular investigation, this case of yellow top.
Interesting. That was a good one.
Thank you.
So what? I don't want to take you. Not give you a turn, Ryan. Pick a letter.
I don't know if that's fair because I'm the one picking the cryptids.
Well, but you know the pretty much the obscure one. So
Okay. Let's think about a letter not a lot of people use. Q.
ooh,
Q. Well, one cryptid I can think of is a Queensland tiger. Queensland tiger is described as almost like a tiger like panther like creature seen in Queensland, Australia. When the Aborigines had a local name for it called a Yowie. They describe a creature about the size of a cat, which we know there's no indigenous cats to Australia. They describe a creature with a long tail, almost like teeth that are very peculiar. They would say almost looks like a scissors kind of. That doesn't look like regular teeth. Almost looks like a cruncher or something like that. Like almost like a two steak knives. And when once Europeans entered the area, they talked about the Queensland tiger is a large panther-like creature with stripes down its back, and it would hide in trees and jump down on people. Modern day, there's not many signs of the Queensland tiger, but we think it might be what you call a thylacoleo. Thylacoleo is also known as the marsupial lion. And these creatures were marsupials about the size of maybe a leopard, a long tail, and their dentition is very peculiar. If you look at like the skull of a thylacoleo, their teeth almost look like they're morphed into one giant, like almost like a butcher knife or a chop. They were built for chopping. And these animals would get into trees and jump down on their prey. This is where
no,
we think
is what you're talking about different from the Tasmanian tiger?
It is different, yes.
Okay.
Because we have the thylacine, which is Dichocynus cynocephalus, the Tasmanian tiger. Then you have the marsupial lion, Dicoeleo conifex. These two creatures are what you call a convergent evolution. One looks more like a wolf, one looks more like a cat. But these are both marsupials. So we think maybe Queensland tiger is based off the Dicoeleo, and also another urban legend cryptid from Australia might be based on Dicoeleo, the drop bear. The drop bear is described as a giant 6 foot tall koala that would jump down on people from above and kill them and eat them.
What? Oh
So
my
we
gosh.
think, what if people saw the Dicoeleo, the Aborigines, jump down on people and they just called it a drop bear because maybe it looked like a giant koala. You never know. They maybe mixed it up in their heads. So the drop bear stories come from maybe the Dicoeleo, and the Queensland tiger might be Dicoeleo that have survived into the modern day. Because it won't be the first example of animals that could be believed to be extinct and have survived in the modern day. Heck, just like in Australia alone, a lot of people believe the thylacine still exists today, even though it went extinct in 1936.
Yeah, because there's been what is it? Last time I checked, there was like 8 sightings. They found some footprints,
Yes, there's been
and not
photos,
which is
videos.
funny. It kind of bugs me because you've had 8 supposed sightings, found some footprints, and all of a sudden they're ready to say that it's not extinct anymore. But we've got mounds and mounds and mounds of more evidence of Bigfoot, and they're not willing to say that that's real. So
Because with me, the issue with Bigfoot and like let's just say the thylacine was already perceived. We already knew it existed at one point.
right.
With Sasquatch, there's nothing like it really, unless you look at maybe
Well,
an evolution or Gigantopithecus.
well,
But
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. If they wanted to point to that, you're like, well, y'all, the hardcore scientists, they say, well, if there was a Bigfoot, it was Gigantopithecus,
yeah,
and I say, okay, if you stay with that logic, which I don't know, I don't think I adhere to, but if you use that logic, okay, you're saying it did exist at one point, but using the same logic with the Tasmanian tiger, okay, so if we've got more evidence of this than we do this, why are you so willing to say this exists but not this?
yes, and I
You
think
know,
with it's the one big fear of people is what looks human-like. And I
right?
think that's one big issue with Sasquatch is the human-like characteristics. People
Right.
aren't willing to believe it exists due to the fact that it's so similar to us in
Oh
both
yeah,
possibly behavior and morphology.
yeah. I have come to the conclusion, or my not conclusion. I can't say I come to a conclusion. My opinion, because and it's gonna, I'll a lot of people gonna go get bent at me, and that's fine. But I'm allowed to have my opinion, just like y'all are,
Yes,
because my opinion is different than Jessica's on this subject. I think, in talking about Bigfoot, I credit them with the intelligence right up there, right par with killer whales. Now, a lot of people go, "Oh, well, they're a lot more intelligent than killer whales." Okay, you need to do your research into killer whales because killer whales, which are actually a dolphin, by the way, are extremely smart. Extremely smart. They're self-aware. They grieve. They 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 teach each other. They'll on one pod if wanders into another area, they'll teach one how to hunt their
they
way.
they talk about almost culture like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
different pods hunt differently, they move
right.
differently, they migrate differently. And what is that other than culture? But that's the issue. You can't use human words for non-human species. Like Jane
Right.
Goodall, her career was almost ruined when she said these chimps are grieving. They are using culture.
Yeah,
People said that you're crazy. You can't use human words, human analogies to non-human species. But in modern day science, we're finding out animals are a lot of animals are intelligent as us. Yeah, look at like chimps. They have proto culture. They have their own
Yep.
language, almost a language, and use tools. And
I think
orcas,
a lot of that just is human arrogance. Oh,
yeah,
we can't. No dumb animal can be just like us,
yeah,
or have anything in common with us. I think a lot of that is where that stems from.
yeah,
Well, then we also have the idea that Bigfoots have their own language, and
Yeah.
Ron Moorhead and R. Scott Nelson and the Moorhead Berry tapes show that they have a mix between archaic Japanese and Native American dialects and German and English and Spanish, and it's their own little language, their own big language. Okay, so
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I tend to think that some of them are much more smart than humans. Okay.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, and that can be threatening to humans, by the way.
yeah.
So
Well,
Because
and I'll tell you this: I know some goldfish that are a lot smarter than some humans. I know, but it's
quit talking about Rob like that, okay, Tex? Just kidding. Or you
um,
kidding, Rob?
it there's three things that I saw about killer whales that just absolutely amazed me. One was the cow that pushed her calf that had died for, what was it, 3 weeks,
yeah,
grieving the death of this calf. The other one is watching, was it 2 or 3 killer whales get into sink and duck under a piece of ice just to wash a sea lion off on the other side. So let's get to it. I mean, it was like, and the other one is the pod that learned, and I don't know, this may be species wide, I'm not sure, but I do know there is a pod or a group that learned that they can put a shark in a catatonic state by grabbing its pectoral fin and flipping it upside down.
yes. It's
Come on.
yeah,
You know?
and that behavior is not species wide. It's a Southern California pod,
Right.
and this Southern California pod is off the Farallon Islands, and there also great whites occur, and they have learned how to move them onto their back. They'll get stuck catatonically, and then they can just feed on them and kill them when they want to.
Right.
And
And
also,
they eat their livers. They don't really eat
Yeah.
anything else. They eat the livers because
Yes.
it's nutrition.
and
And
also,
delicious.
and recently we've discovered one year one orca was killed by a great whale. Orca was killed by a great white shark. What had happened is that they killed a great white shark after that, and they had learned with great white sharks, when they smell their own dead, they leave the area.
Right.
So some people think that these animals just killed this great white shark in retribution. But then again, you can't use retribution with a species due to the fact, well, that's a human like characteristic. But we know from other animals can use retribution on us. For instance, up in, believe it was Russia, a man had stolen a tiger's kill, and that tiger had followed him for 50 miles until his home and then killed him the next day and didn't feed on him. If that's not retribution, I don't know what is.
Right. Right. Well, and and they say, a lot of people say that humans are the only ones that will kill for sport. Well, or have fun or play with their food or whatever.
Yeah,
That argument is done and over with because one killer whales, they'll bat a sea lion back and forth like a freaking tennis ball.
yeah,
And another thing that's crazy about them is they will actually purposely beach themselves to catch sea lions,
yeah,
and they figure out how to unbeach themselves. Now, given it doesn't always work, some will go up too far, but it's just, I don't know, their level of intelligence and self-awareness just blows me away.
Yes,
And
like
I see this, I hear and see the same thing with Bigfoot. And I'm like, okay, well, they don't have to be. And I know a lot of people think they're, have the opinion that they're a race of human, but they don't have to be to have these traits. They could be a very, very high intelligence form of just an ape and
yeah,
still have these behaviors,
yes.
you know.
That actually, I should bring it up. When I do a lot of research with the natural history of Sasquatch, and I'm actually doing research right now on my second book, which would be a Sasquatch book, but it's gonna be based on not just the sightings or Bluff Creek or all that. I'm going to be talking about the presumed natural history of Sasquatch. Where did they come from? Why do they have the characteristics they have, both morphologically and behaviorally? And I will talk about, in my mind, major candidates for Sasquatch. Is it a hominid, which is like a chimpanzee-like creature, Gigantopithecus, or is it a hominin, like a human ancestor, Neanderthal, Paranthropus, Australopithecus? And that's
Right.
one thing I'm researching now is the natural history of Sasquatch.
And Terry Brown brings up the point I was exactly fixing to make. The man killer lions, that,
Saba, yeah.
yeah, I mean, they killed, what was it,
Oh,
a couple of hundred people?
we believe between 100 and 500.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, wow.
and a lot of these kills were for no reason. They didn't feed upon the bodies.
Yeah.
So
Just killed them.
they just killed them for no reason. If we believe, like the colonel that was there and killed these animals, believed they were killing them for sport. They were killing people for sport at some point.
Right.
Wow.
And it would have been, I mean, it would have been, unbelievable enough if it had just been a single lion, but it was a pair working in tandem.
Yeah, two males.
And they terrorized, and that's odd itself too. You got two males working in conjunction, and but they terrorized. They were built. I believe they were building the railroad.
Yeah, they were building.
And they were just terrorizing these railroad camps and killing these natives and everything else that was in these railroad camps.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
So, yeah, if you research the Manning Lions of Savo, it's a crazy experience. Like, if you've ever one thing I tell people if they want to research it, watch the movie "The Ghost in the Darkness." It has,
right.
It's based on it, and it's based on a lot of the facts. It's not just a movie. It's almost like a documentary of it, because a lot of people were killed, and people were afraid. They thought these creatures weren't even lions at some point. They thought they were demons or ghosts that were there to haunt them. But when they were killed, when these two Manning lions were killed, the incident stopped. No one was getting attacked anymore. So we know it was for sure these lions. But there's crazy events of animals killing a lot of people, but it doesn't occur all the time.
Right.
Like for instance,
now
you have
that movie. It's actually based on the book "Death in the Long Grass," which is one of the best books I've ever read. And it's pretty crazy. Brown Dwarf is talking about the picture of the mountain lion that I've got. And I think I showed it to you when we was at the conference. Yeah. Jessica, did I show it to you?
No, tell me about it.
Well, I'll see y'all talking. I'll see if I can find it.
Okay. What is it? Worry?
Hopefully you'll find it. It's a picture of a mountain lion with a deer. But
with a deer. That must have been a big mountain lion.
Well, here, I found it.
Okay. Yeah. See, mountain lions. Oh, Lord. Wow. That's a buck.
Yeah, big cats are nothing but pure muscle. Like, those things can take down creatures almost 2 times their size.
Yeah, that's a 10-point buck. And that's actually, that comes out of Parker County, Texas.
Ooh.
About 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But yeah, that's a big female, and she did have kittens in the area, so she was feeding the whole family. But that's, of course, that's in front of a deer feeder, and
Yeah.
to
Smart.
well, yeah, and that's another thing that she used a human baiting station to hunt.
Yes.
You know, so it's these animals aren't stupid, people. When you call something, oh, it's a dumb animal. Yeah, well,
That dumb animal's gonna go attack you.
go to the 7-Eleven and that's where you're going to find the dumb animals, the Walmarts and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and that just backs up the idea that we need to be, we need to protect ourselves, be able to protect ourselves in the woods. For all the Bigfoot field researchers out there, if that big cat can take down that buck, imagine what it could do to little old humans, too. So just be aware.
And and another thing that I want to point out about that picture that a lot of people don't really talk about, the lack of blood.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That deer was not torn up. The throat was not ripped out.
Because they just go for a bite, and that's it.
Well, they target the back of the neck and snap the spine or pierce their spinal cord. That's what they do. Now, if we go back and talk about the attack in Lipan, the individual, I know Jessica's heard me talk about this. I don't know if you have or not, Ryan, but the attack in Lipan, Texas, where the gentleman went missing, they found him as dead on the side of the road. The only marks on the body, and this is what we're told, the only marks on the body were his throat was ripped out. That was not a cat.
Yeah, cats
like they tried to say, that it's not a cat.
Yeah.
So it's just, and we're investigating that further, and hopefully we'll get some answers. So,
because almost all big cats, they go for a really clean kill. Like I'll give you an example with this. Let me just grab this. Smilodon, the prehistoric big cat.
Oh yeah,
it's precision. These two fangs are precision kill. All big cats are like that. They don't go for this ripping of animal apart. That's more canine characteristics, or even hyenas. Big cats, I like to say dogs are the butchers, while big cats are the surgeons. They are surgical killers. They go for either back of the neck or just go for throat. But they don't rip apart a body until after they feed. And even then, they lick off the fur, then they feed. But it's not like a big horrendous scene like how dogs and hyenas hunt.
That's so interesting. You're saying dogs and hyenas. I did the remote viewing of the Beasts of LBL and the family that was murdered there back in the 1980s. And, what I saw there was a hyena type dog man. Okay. And, and there have been multiple people gone missing from there. And from what I saw, a lot of people were torn apart by these things and ripped to shreds. Yeah.
Yeah. But
interesting.
That's just not feline behavior. That's very much characteristics of dogs or bears and hyenas. It's very more canidae. Like there's carnivore, there's split into felidae, which is felines, and canidae. Canines, bears, because bears and canines are very closely related. But that's behavior of them. Like look at canines. They go at the hindquarters of the prey, then they go for the throat. But they rip it apart. Cats, they're much more precision, surgical. Just go for the throat and kill it real quickly. It's canines.
Can you hold up that skull again? And I want everybody to really get a good look at the size of those incisors on that.
Yeah, because they would canines would probably get about maybe 11 inches. And remember, that still goes about 2 or 3 inches into the skull. This is a long thing.
Wow.
I mean, that is, that's this, man, that's crazy. And the thing about it is that wasn't the only massive freaking predator like that roaming around at that point. You had the short-nosed bear, which, people talk about every once in a while. That thing was freaking massive.
Okay, Tex, do you want me to go grab it? Because I have a skull of it.
Do you?
Yes, I can
A
go
short-
grab it.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I can show you
I
this.
say let's
please
see it.
do.
I want to see it. Shoot.
He's got all this cool stuff. He's got
He
got
does.
he's got a skull of a Gigantopithecus too.
You know what? I'm gonna steal Ryan for Space Out Radio. Okay, so I'm bringing him on. He'll come on.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know it.
This is fun. Show and tell.
Totus sinus, short-faced bear.
Oh my gosh!
This is compared to my skull.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is a creature we saw back in the day. This lived alongside our ancestors. So imagine trying to hunt
wow.
this down.
Oh, probably with spears.
Spears,
Rocks.
rattles. Like
Yeah.
people, like that's one thing with cryptozoology. We lived alongside monsters back in the day, and we still do. These are true monsters here.
Wow.
Like
That is huge.
This creature, when it stood on two legs, would have been about 13 feet tall. It's probably about a ton or more, probably about 2 tons. This creature could take down baby mammoths, horses, all types of creatures back in the day.
Wow.
And people still say they still see short-faced bears in Alaska and Canada into the modern day. And I think it's a possibility because up there you still have megafauna, you still have moose, elk.
Yep.
So a creature like that could persist up there.
Yeah, and and people don't consider that either. They don't consider like you said, the moose and the elk being megafauna.
Yeah.
But I would argue even bison.
Yeah, I think the technical definition of megafauna is a mammal that's over 200 pounds. So a lot of species out here are megafauna, but they don't consider it. Like, heck, even a big mule deer can get over 200 pounds.
Yeah. Yep, no doubt. I mean, well, now it's very possible you have megafauna wandering around in freaking Brown Springs. They got tigers running around.
Yeah.
But we're also starting to see bear down there too.
Yeah.
We had they're starting to come back.
Yeah, they're starting to move from East Coast into more Western areas now.
Yeah.
Like even this, I think I heard reports even maybe even close to the Big Thicket area. There's a lot more bear sightings down there now. So they're moving, and I think it also helps with the whole. I remember back during the pandemic was happening when people weren't going in the woods.
Right.
Animals were moving a lot. We're moving around a lot more. And I think they're getting used to being forced back a little bit more because humans are coming back into the woods again.
Yeah. They had all the forest roads shut down for a while and campgrounds. Yeah,
which
so
I didn't
get out
understand at all. Like
it was all planned.
That's the only thing we could do.
I'm a conspiracy theorist.
You know what's crazy though? And I know this is off topic, but they had a record amount of fishing licenses sold because nobody had anything else to do.
Yeah.
And they were getting back out there and they were fishing because you didn't have to be around people. Well, then they shut the freaking parks down and stuff. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah.
It's safer to be outside and it's cooped up inside. It's like you want us to get sick,
Exactly.
Like, But anyway,
it was good
I
for
don't
the
even want
animals.
to go down that road. A weird thing, a couple of weird things is one, we're seeing bear in the area. Two is we were down on an expedition, and it wasn't the last one, but it was the time before that. And these two guys came in. They were hunters. They were hunting hog, and they had game cameras set up way back behind our camp, and back in there. And they said, "Yeah, we're coming down here to check the batteries on our cameras because they keep going dead." They were having to change their batteries out every week in these game cameras that should run for months.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's what we said. We said, well, we kind of run into that ourselves once they found out what we were doing and everything like that. And they were like, well, have y'all ever seen anything down here? And we were like, oh yeah. And then that's when they told us that, well, we've caught bear on our game cameras. And we were like, what?
Oh, wow.
Well, then Todd Neese had a bear sighting that weekend. It was like, here we go. Now we got tigers and
a
lions
bear
and bears on
or
my-
a bear? A Bigfoot bear or a real bear?
Well, he saw a bear, a black bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a Bigfoot.
But yeah.
The one time you see a Bigfoot, you say it's a bear. The one time you see a bear, you say it's a Bigfoot.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
Borderline.
interesting that you bring that up, Ryan, because we've talked about that before, misidentification. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, and
I
he
knocked
only broke
my,
it.
You
knocked
okay?
my mic over. Yeah, I knocked my mic over. I got all excited. But we've talked about misidentification working both ways.
Yes.
Some of these bear sightings are probably Bigfoot sightings,
Mhm.
and they just don't
Yeah.
realize.
Yes. Or even a lot of attacks. Like, bear attack, dog attack, this. A lot of times, if you look more into them, you're like, wait, that's not bear behavior. Oh, that's not dog behavior. So what else is there to choose? I'm one of those people. Bigfoot's not a monster. It's not out there to kill people and maim you. But if you are in their space, they will get aggressive. And if you don't back down, like any animal, they
Right.
will go to the next step. Like even
Or
I
if you
know,
get out of your car and try to go pet it and take a selfie with it.
yeah. Hey, it's a Bigfoot. Let me go take a picture. Oh no, yeah. You're not
Bad
going
idea.
back to your car. Well, hey, they can just flip your car. How strong these creatures
Yes.
are.
Well, I'll never understand these people that, like up in Yellowstone, it's rampant in Yellowstone.
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh, let's get out and take a selfie with the buffalo,
yeah.
and then
They
wonder
don't
why they
realize
get
how
killed,
fast they are.
or the bears even.
Yeah. Like they just see buffalo. Oh, it's just a big animal. No, that thing can move quickly, and those things are more dangerous than bears up there.
Yeah,
Like,
we
'cause they-
just had a friend of the family not 3 weeks ago get killed because he was relocating a buffalo to somebody's property
oh, wow.
in a trailer, and when he went to let it out, it got a hold of him and gored him to death.
Yeah.
So,
they're
um,
dangerous.
oh yeah,
man.
they're brutal. But
Yeah.
have you ever heard of a hoop snake?
I think I've heard that term before.
We're talking about cryptids here.
Yeah.
Hoop snake is a
Oh, you said hoop snake, the one that like bites its own.
Oh, the
tail and
circle.
moves.
yeah,
Yeah, it looks like a wheel.
Yeah.
Is that real? What is that?
No,
It's
Okay.
like one of those what they call lumberjack stories, lumberjack animal, like the cactus cat or the quack.
jackalope or
Yeah.
It makes
now,
for a good story, though.
I will tell you this. I will tell you something that does exist. It's called a spreading nanner, and it's a type of snake. I'm serious.
Is that a sandwich? It sounds good.
No, you can look this up. It's a type of snake that we have down here. It's a non-poisonous snake that when it rears up, it flares out like a cobra.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But it's a constrictor. It's not a viper. But
Yeah.
we do have them down here in Texas. And
Oh
a funny
my.
story. When I was growing up, and I was, I don't know, 14, 15 years old, and we had some friends from the city come out, and they would come out, and Dad would, of course, we had most of our stuff, or most of our land planted and stuff, and anybody that came up went back with bushels and bushels and bushels of vegetables. So they were out picking beans, right? And this kid, he was a couple of years younger than me, and they were going down the road picking beans and everything, and the spreading nanner had gotten in this bean plant, and it raised up out of the bean plant, had that old hood feathered out. He comes running, and I'm at the house. I'm not. You want veggies? Go pick them yourself. But yeah, he comes running out of the field, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Cobra! Cobra!"
I would too. I wouldn't know what to do.
But yeah,
Cobra?
it was a spreading nanner.
It's bad enough you see a
He thought it
garden
was a
snake,
cobra
you're not
because
expecting one.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh
it
my
just raised
God.
up out of that plant like that. You know,
Spreading nanner.
Yeah.
Spreading nanner?
Yeah,
Like a
spread
banana?
nanner.
Is that what you're
Spread
talking about? Like a
nanner.
spreading banana?
Yeah, spreading.
I think it's
adder.
actually
Adder
spreading
is like a-
niner.
Yeah. Yeah, then adder is another name for like a snake. Or like
Spreading adder.
yeah.
Oh wow.
One thing that people do
I'm gonna
for
look that up.
yeah, like
Yeah.
one thing you can tell it's not a cobra is that cobras have two little dots on their back.
Mhm.
They look like eyes. Spread adders don't.
Yeah, the
don't.
monocle cobra. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I'll tell you, I had a good friend of my mother's made these ceramic stuff, you know, and made all these ceramic things and would hand paint it and everything. And my mom got me a cobra, a life-size cobra that was coiled up and raised up like this for my birthday. She made it. She had her friend made it and painted for me. And
Oh, wow.
because I absolutely loved the movie, there's a movie called and
Oh man.
what it's about is
Academy
this guy,
Award winning movie, I'm
oh
assuming.
yeah, definitely. It was from the 70s, and it's about this guy that this doctor, this mad doctor, that turns these people by giving them injections. It turns them. He turns them into snakes.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Okay.
and I was.
People
I
into
absolutely love
snakes?
this movie.
This
I've
one feels
always
super
been a big
70s.
horror movie
I
fan.
gotta see
It's
that
just
one.
super 70s B movie. I can already feel it.
Right. But yeah, I actually love that movie, and she had the ceramic cobra made, and it was about, I mean, it was coiled up and then it raised up, and it was every bit of 2 feet, 2.5 feet tall. You know,
Oh wow.
and
You know what? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to tell you real quick. We have something in common, except I have a ceramic rattlesnake, but it wraps around my salt and pepper shakers. So you go down to pick up the salt and pepper on the dining room table, and it looks like you're going to get bit by a rattlesnake.
I like it.
I love it. I know, right?
I've seen the ashtrays. I haven't
Good
seen
and
that.
terrible.
Though.
Oh yeah, go to Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby.
Yeah. Hobby. They got all the rattlesnake gear you need
That's where I go to get
for your home.
That's where I go get my like knickknacks and things like that from Hobby Lobby.
Oh yeah, they're the best. So yeah, how big is your ceramic snake? Would you say about 2 feet?
Yeah, it was coiled up. It was about this big at the bottom, and then it was probably 18 inches tall.
Wait, did it have a human face on it, or was it a snake?
No,
face?
it didn't have a human face. But I did. I because she said she painted whatever I wanted. She said she painted whatever I wanted, and I said I wanted it painted like a real cobra, but with blue eyes, because that was in the movie. They turned this guy into a snake, but he had blue eyes. So yeah,
I got to see that. Yeah. The movie, definitely. Yeah.
Cheese Freak says definitely a 70s B movie. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can feel it. You can feel it from here.
It's one of those movies that you just got to see. I mean, it's entertaining, you know, but I absolutely loved it, you know. But
it couldn't have been anywhere near as bad as the human centipede. I'm going to leave that there. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Let's move on.
Can you believe they made three of those things?
I never watched a single one. Thank God. Thank the Lord. I never will. Hey, we're talking about cryptids, though, right? I don't know what that's a cryptid.
Human centipede.
Chimeras, right?
That brings up something that's interesting to talk about too, as far as we're talking about this centipedes and stuff. And we'll probably wrap it up with this one, but the Mongolian death worm.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Is there any? Do you think there's any truth to that? Because there's a lot of reports of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of reports.
Or you think it's possibly something else?
It could possibly be some type of giant worm, something like that. But there's certain aspects of it that kind of maybe not prove it's a worm, like being able to spit venom or being able to make an electric shock. There's no known species of worms that can do that, unless this is maybe some type of prehistoric creature or something like that we haven't found yet. Like we know it's some people even speculate it might be some type of snake of some sort. But the native people there describe it as like a living intestine, because it's like red. It undulates in the desert. It goes into the sand, and even stories of this goes back hundreds of years, thousands of years with the natives. So I think there's some type of creature behind it. But what species or what this is found to be, I have really no idea, unless it is some type of unknown giant worm of some sort.
How big is this worm? Is it eating humans or something?
Usually it's supposed to be most times between 6 feet to 10 feet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like tremors. It moves through the desert sands and stuff like that. It's
Oh,
it's
wow.
it's actually do what?
I said,
It's
oh,
actually
wow.
it's actually a pretty interesting cryptid.
Yeah.
I don't think I agree with the way I see a lot of the artist renditions of it. I think it's got to be something. I don't know. I don't see something like that, and I may be completely out of my realm here, but I don't. The depictions I've seen doesn't make sense of it burrowing as quick as it does.
Yeah.
You know,
Unless it's like the face of it, the head of it, it's almost more something like a graboid from Tremors.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Like the Demogorgon? I don't know.
almost, yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it would be able to burrow as quick as it could. And the behavior of it being carnivorous and all that, it's not very worm-like, unless I remember one theory was that it was some type of like maybe ground-based lamprey of some sort. Which lamprey is a type of eel that feeds fish and things like that. But unless it is some type of maybe ground-based eel or something like that, but the evolutionary path it would have to take is very peculiar from there, because it'd be like an aquatic animal living in the sand.
Well, you know, a lot of the depiction pictures of it, depictions of it, to me remind me of a tapeworm.
Yeah.
You know, or a hookworm. Or,
yeah, like a parasite.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So it could be some type of giant parasite, but with parasites, they survive on something else. So what would these animals survive on?
Right.
And usually parasites are a lot smaller than whatever else they are living on. If these creatures 6 to 10 feet long, what are they eating? Like what are they being a parasite to? It's like, huh.
Ew. That's scary to think about.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of for a long time this was considered a cryptid, but it's actually real. And the spiny catfish that swims up the urethra.
on in the Amazon. Yeah,
that's actually real.
Yeah,
inside your human body.
Yeah.
Okay.
It swims up the urethra.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And then when it gets in there,
if they were to urinate in the water, they don't, because it is attracted by the chemicals in the urine, and it will go up the urethra because of chemicals.
Ouch. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they've had there's been several, and you can find it. I mean, they've had
if you look
surgically
at river monsters, like that River Monster show with Jeremy Ray, they had an episode on it, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you go, wear underwear for sure under your bathing suit, whatever.
Rubber underwear. Latex. I don't know. Put something on.
I'll tell you do have to worry when you go international. It's like, there's so many other things out there you have to worry about. Here in America, you just have to worry about bears, maybe wolves, cougars. They have so many other things you have to worry about.
Cobra, non-venomous cobra snakes down in Texas.
Well, with even here in Texas now, you got the freaking brain-eating amoeba. You have to worry about in stagnant water. But I'm sorry, I'm not swimming in stagnant water. Just ain't gonna do it.
Yeah,
but
you don't do that.
Yeah, but they've by stagnant water it can be because Possum Kingdom had them in there. when it gets really, really hot, and it's the lake is low and it's not flowing, and that's a big, big lake. You're talking something that's 100 plus feet deep. So, but they do have them in there, and but then you got the flesh eating stuff that you can get from the coast, So
yeah, you can get that in the creeks actually here in Georgia. Someone I know actually fell off of a zip line and landed in the creek, and she lost her arms and her legs actually to flesh eating bacteria.
Yeah, I know a couple of weeks ago, me and my friends went to the Medina River down here in San Antonio. And I'm like, yeah, make sure you go in the water that's like moving and all that. And like one of my friends, he's like, I have a cut on my leg. I'm like, no, you're not going in the water. He's like, why? No, it's not going in the water. Anytime open wound, you don't go back in the water with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's like I can just tell, like, okay, I am the one that knows more stuff than you guys. Let me tell you guys what to make sure you're safe. Like I'm kind of a country boy, so let me tell you guys, like, okay, you don't go over there. Don't go over there in the water. Like I remember some of them, they're throwing a ball or something and went into the lily pads. And I'm like, okay, I'm the only one that was brave enough to go to the lily pads because they don't realize when you step on the lily pads, all that gas, CO2 comes up. And I'm like, okay, this feels like bugs are crawling up me, but it's not. It's just gas. This guy didn't quit back.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, see, you guys are happy that there's a country boy with you. I'm willing to do stuff like that.
Well, what I don't understand, and growing up as a kid out in the country, I swam in the rivers. I swam in the lakes. We swam in cow ponds, for God's sake. We never had any of these problems.
Yes.
Where did this stuff come from? Because it's recent.
You're drinking out of garden hoses, just like me. I don't know.
Exactly.
You know
what?
Back when we could drink out of a garden hose.
I took a drink out of the garden hose for the first time in years just the other day. And I'm like,
I hope it was well water.
How good this was. Well, see, that's what I grew up on was well water.
Yeah, me too. I did too. That's why I still got my wits about me a little bit, I guess, today. I don't know.
I live in a city, so I still have the fluoride.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, because like I know I live in town. I live in San Antonio. Always raised here. They're like, yeah, you just don't drink out of the faucet. Why? Like that water's. You probably get cleaner water from the shower. It's like, yeah, honestly.
Maybe. I tell everybody invest in a really good water filter. I've got one of those Alexa Pure Pros. I'm not advertising. I'm just saying everybody needs to go get something like that. Everybody. Yeah.
Well, guys, y'all ready to wrap it up? We're almost at the 2-hour mark.
For sure.
Real quick, once again, Ryan, tell us where you can get your books and tell us about your YouTube channel.
Of course. You can get my book, Cryptids of the World, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Just look up Cryptids of the World and my name. My YouTube channel, it's the Cryptid Chronicles. The little logo, it's like a Bigfoot walking across the screen. It's a little like badge looking thing. You'll find it. I have one video up. It's the preview to the channel. I'm planning on uploading podcasts in the future with interviews like researchers like you guys. There's a couple other names. I'm not going to name them here yet. I want to keep that as a secret. And also, hopefully within the next year or so, I'm going to have my second book out. Big awesome. Sasquatch a Prehistory. Look out for that. I'll make sure I promote that once that comes out. I'm working on the research now. So just keep an eye out open. Like, even though I have one book out, I'm planning on making a lot more. Like, I'm hoping to release a bunch of books in the future.
That's great. And if you want to have, if you've got your own channel out there and you're wanting to interview Ryan, how would they get a hold of you, Ryan?
Yes. If you look up the cryptidchronicles.net, I have a website. You can go to the website. I have a contact card there. Just contact me. It goes to my email. But if you want my social medias, you can look me up on Facebook, Ryan Edwards. Look up on YouTube, the Cryptid Chronicles. I have my contact information there as well. Or you can just look me up on, also have my Instagram. It's redwards.crypto. Just look there. I have plenty of ways to contact me. Contact me from Facebook, YouTube, Messenger, all that things. I'm willing to be up on any show. If you guys want to have an interview on my show, I'm always open to that. I want to talk to eyewitnesses, researchers. With me, it's just about sharing information, just educating people on the world of cryptozoology. So if you guys want to join in on that, just let me know.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Ryan. That's awesome. You know, Ryan, I actually have a show on Spaced Out Radio all about cryptids, so I'll have to bring you on. We'll talk. We'll talk after the show. Stick around. Okay. Yeah.
Well, everybody, welcome to the Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob / without Bigfoot Michigan Rob. So he's getting they're over at his place killing gremlins right now. So hopefully they'll get them all. They'll vacate the premises and he'll be back on track again. So now tonight is Seru Papers. Seru Papers. And I don't know what he's talking about. I know what Jason's got on tap. Tomorrow at 8 Central is your show, Jessica.
It is. And I am talking about the Sasquatch abduction of Alfred Osman, up in British Columbia. I have remote viewed it. Let me tell you. I mean, I know that there are people who think it didn't happen. There are people who think it did happen. I'm going to let you know tomorrow night what really happened. Okay.
That's
so y'all
awesome.
tune in.
And Saturday.
That one. We'll have to tune in that one. I've done a lot of research on that case. And
have you?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to talk because I got some interesting data. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And Saturday on SOR, you're having a very awesome guest.
I do. I have a star coming on. His name is Tex Wesson from Texas Front Porch is going to be my guest. It's a star-studded event. Okay, so we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be talking Bigfoot and Dogman and all this other crazy cryptid stuff.
He has a star. He has a star on the Bigfoot Wall of Fame. It just has a question over it, but he has a star there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. And then Sunday night, I have Matt Williamson on from Supernatural Spectrum. He's going to be there Sunday night. So y'all tune in 10 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Central, on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. Okay, we'll be there live. So y'all join us.
Can't wait. It's going to be a good weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, Ryan, thanks again, brother. It's always a pleasure, man. And I enjoyed the hell out of shooting the shit with you and buddying up at the conference, man. That was great. And at the bar, you know. I don't know how good a company I was. I was drinking, you were sober. So
don't worry, I'm used to that. So I'm like, okay, but like you didn't get too bad, Zach. You're good. Rob, though, maybe.
Well, you know it is Rob, but anyway, thank you, and Jessica, thanks for stepping in. It was a hoot.
Oh yeah, for sure. I jumped out of the shower for this. I actually dried my hair during the break. Okay.
We do have this weekend. We may have a big announcement, so it's coming. We just don't know when, so we're not going to let the cat out of the bag. But yes, there is a big announcement coming for us, and we will catch y'all on the flip side.
See y'all. See you this weekend.
See you guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Of course.
As soon as I find the button, we'll get out of here.
Bye, y'all.